Studios, kicking off a brand new week. Joining us now, Representative Fred Shanks. He serves the good people of Rankin County in Mississippi's House of Representatives. Good to see you there, Representative Shanks.
Glad to be here, Gerard.
Yes, sir. I just want to pass on this as well, Rhino. The vote on the rules package is scheduled at 5 p.m. Eastern Time in the U.S. House today, 5 p.m. So should be some drama possibly unfolding there. Speaking of drama, what about down there under the dome just a few miles south of here at the Mississippi State Capitol?
Well, not quite as crazy as what we've seen. Of course, I know your listeners listened to the congressman last segment. It was not quite been that way. In fact, a lot of talk that we've had is about what is going on in D.C. So, real interesting there. And, in fact, I spoke to, of course, one of our mutual friends, former Ways and Means Chairman Jeff Smith, and I think when he ran for Speaker, I think it was a 3-vote round.
Just 3 votes.
Yeah,
it was a big deal.
Yeah, big deal at the time, and now we're 15 or whatever it ended up being.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so what's on tap for – you're still chair of the Constitution Committee, correct? Yeah, I recall that from last year. The big thing was the Citizen Ballot Initiative.
Correct. We've still had talks on the Senate side, so, I feel good about it. I think we're going to get some common ground and move forward with it. So. Yeah, a lot of talk about it, a lot of buzz.
And I wanted to clarify this because we had Lieutenant Governor Hosemann on the program yesterday, and there was a little bit of confusion, Rhino, about the signature threshold, the distinction between the House and the Senate. The bill that passed the House that came out of your committee was consistent with what currently exists in our Constitution, which is 12% of the ballots cast in the last gubernatorial election.
That's correct. It ends up being around 106,000, and the House position was to keep it the same.
Yeah. The Senate, on the other hand, opted for a higher threshold, and I couldn't put my hands on it last week, Rhino, but I did a little research on that. It turns out what they wanted was 12% of the registered voters, which would put that figure somewhere around 200,000, almost double what the House wanted.
Yeah, it started in the start of the talks. That's what it was. It was over 200,000.
Yeah,
and we just couldn't come to an agreement on that. And but like I said, I feel positive about it now. I think we'll be able to get somewhere. I want to stay as close as possible to what we have. Yeah, so I'm planning on that.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
And the rationale from the lieutenant governor was that, well, this would make the bar higher for big money out-of-staters that wanted to come in here and push some sort of measure through that process, some initiative through that process, and this would be a deterrent. But it seems to me like that would deter just good folks in Mississippi that did want to get behind some effort that would make that more expensive and just more difficult to achieve.
It's really a catch-22. He does have a point. If a big corporation like, say, Walmart wanted to come in, I mean, they could easily get 100,000 signatures. They could have signature gatherers at every Walmart in the state. They could get that in a weekend.
Yeah.
So he does have a point. But as far as your grassroots citizen, how it is currently with 106,000 people roughly, I mean, that number's hard to get.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's costs a lot of money. Takes a lot of time, a lot of money.
That's the name of the game.
You don't just throw an idea out there and say, well, I'm going to go get 106,000 signatures, and they have to be divided across the state evenly, relatively, with the congressional districts. That's what got us in trouble with the Initiative 65. The Constitution says 5, and we only have 4.
Correct, and the language had never been changed.
Yeah.
But, you're right. I think medical marijuana, I think that costs $2 million to get 100,000 signatures.
Yeah.
So it's a money game.
It definitely is. So anything else that you see popping up in your committee you guys will be taking up?
Not in my committee. That'd be the only thing we do.
Okay.
I have had a meeting. We had a corrections hearing about recidivism. So I know that we're going to be taking some different measures up. We've had a meeting with Commissioner Burl Cain, who I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
They've really been doing a lot in a short amount of time with MDOC. So I'm real proud of those guys. And so we're trying to figure out the best way to get the inmates back to their family, nonviolent inmates, but back to their family with a skill that they've learned and get them a job and start contributing.
He's got lots of great ideas there, and he's a big proponent of that, and he understands that his job is more than just locking people up for them to serve their time and then send them back out into society where they end up doing the same thing.
That's right. I spoke with him a little while back, and he told me that he allows every inmate in the system to write him letters, and he answers them. He reads every one of them. And he told me, he said, Fred, I know everything that goes on. Yeah. And I was like, that's smart. Yeah. Smart business.
Yeah, he sure does. All right, what else are you hearing around the Capitol that is going to be coming up in this session?
Well, the big one is going to be the full elimination of the income tax. Yeah. And I think we're going to get there.
You do?
I really do. It's been a big push of Speaker Gunn, and we started on it last session, and I think we'll get there.
Well,
I think everything's lining up.
The Speaker made it clear on the program last week it still remains his top priority.
That's right.
Get that done.
That's right. He obviously wants to go out on top, and I think that's very doable, and I think we're going to get there.
Yeah, I was a little surprised to hear that he's very invigorated, as he was in the last session, and though I think we got a good, you've heard me call it a down payment on full elimination, he's pretty convinced that he can get that done, and he's going to push for it big time. You think you've got the support in the chamber there?
I do, no doubt. Yeah. When he called us in and kind of told us of his plans for next term,
right?
Generally in an election year, you don't do a whole lot in session, but this is going to be just like last year. I think we're going to have a huge session, get a lot of things done.
You do? Okay.
I do.
Do you think that the qualifying date being February 1 will change that dynamic somewhat? That was actually the rationale for it, was it not, to kind of get that out of the way?
Yeah. I really can't say. I mean, I think we're going to, keep trucking, regardless.
Yeah.
So, but it sure does quicken things up.
Yeah. Well, last session, a number of high-profile issues that were addressed. This session, elimination of the income tax seems to be top of mind again. A repeal of the certificate of need laws, that's going to probably come up again. Medicaid expansion likely will come up again. We'll see certainly where that goes. I know the lieutenant governor is pushing for year-round K-12 school.
Yeah, I've been hearing a little bit about that, and it's created some buzz, but I don't know all the particulars on that one just yet. But
yeah.
It's certainly gotten brought up.
I hope it's not a situation where it's mandated of all districts by the state at the state level. I think that decision ought to rest with the individual school districts.
I would tend to agree right now, and I have not spoken to my district about it just yet. Kind of get their thoughts on it, but that's coming.
Okay. Yeah, that's on the way. What about our fiscal condition? Our financial condition seems to be quite strong. The Speaker and the Lieutenant Governor on the program last week both touted that, feeling that the Republican-held government has really been very responsible with respect to spending and filled up the rainy day fund, produced these surpluses. So we're in good shape there.
Yeah. Don't forget the lottery.
And the lottery, of course, is producing good funds for the State Highway Fund, the Education Enhancement Fund as well. That's been in operation now 3 years.
That's right. So, the conservative leadership we've had for the last 12 years is really coming out. I mean, we like you said, we're in excellent financial shape, and it's just one thing we don't have to be concerned about right at the moment, so we can focus on some other things. Not
borrowing money, which is a good thing as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of election here, you running for re-election?
I'm going to run for re-election, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. I absolutely love this job. I would go year-round if I could. I do work hard in the off-season helping people, and myself and the other Rankin County delegates, we all went and qualified together. It's kind of a little thing we do.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, pretty neat, and looking forward to it. And that's probably been the biggest buzz at the Capitol is, who's qualifying, who's running for what, who has opponents, who's not coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been the big talk.
Any surprises? I saw where Representative Dana Criswell has announced he's not going to run
Correct.
from DeSoto County.
I think he set a kind of a term limit for himself, and
Yeah.
he's not coming back. So
Yeah.
And I think a couple other ones are doing the same, kind of on the north end of the state.
That's what the buzz is for sure. But we'll see where all that shakes out. The good news is we're going to know in about 3 weeks.
That's right.
Maximum, right?
We don't have to wait very long.
Who knows coming in? Well, we appreciate you joining us and look forward to a productive and fruitful session.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gerard.
Representative Fred Shanks from Rankin County has been our guest on Middays. We're stepping aside for a break. We're coming right back.